Yo, super loud. I can see the red. Hey, you all know who I am. Good. What is it? Morning. Good morning. Afternoon. It's Commander Halflock again. Some of you may know me as Tom. Some of you may know me as Fistudes. God, I fucking love that. So as always, I'm having a great time in Italy. Such a memorable experience. For the author of the Nain logs, yours truly, always the most true. I've been drinking a lot, so my mind is a little dumb. I've been waking up with swords for like the past month and a half. So many swords. The folks who know the reference know the reference. Just hella swords, man. I'm doing okay. Life is what it is, and people are what they are. And that will be the end of my personalized introduction and greeting. I'm going to do some mining. So if you've not been keeping up with the game, which I don't know why you wouldn't, I wouldn't be watching the stream at all. There'd be literally no reason for you to watch the stream unless you were playing the game. And if you were playing the game, there would still be very little reason for you to watch this, unless you just want to watch me talk about random shit, which is essentially what streamers do. It's sort of their job. Nobody questions that at all. So, we have had a recent set of updates. I still haven't picked up the Type 11. I'll pick it up fucking eventually. Okay. So I will be mining in my Type 8. Which I still think is like a solid mining vehicle, regardless of what anyone else has to say about the matter. I have personally put out a new track called Number 3, The Great Lizards of Sorrento. If some of you remember some of the streams I was doing from my other Commander Half-Log Tom account, the original Nain Incorporated account, I was walking you through and sort of playing you through the incarnations of it. It's now on my SoundCloud page. There is a link in my community posts to the track. It does indeed refer to a joke that I was making when I was over there in Sorrento, Italy, about Komodo dragons, how they're majestic beasts that eat children. So that's there for listening if you'd like to listen to it. The entirety of the Nain logs, valorization and time, I'm just going to call it that, playlist is still also on there as well if you just want to listen through. I will say for my own they're the original tracks that made it onto the videos. So without any extra work done to them, mixing, mastering, the live instrumentation I would have preferred, it leaves a little for me to be desired. Or for me to... It leaves a little bit of room into which my desire currently sits. That's a super weird and hypersexualized way to say that. Anyways, they're not as good as I would like them to be for official release dates. Or like official release pieces. They're fine, but you would be doing yourself a huge disservice to not embrace your inner nerdness and read through the Nain logs and take them in for what they are. Where am I now? We have had updates to the HIP 876, HIP 876-1 and Terra Tora storyline. the powers have joined in the mix and have made calls to fight for the regions surrounding Territora. Just gets better and better. This is such a good word game for any Andrew Bird fan. For every pledged member of any power play unit, battalion, navy, auxiliary navy, there were personalized messages sent over to your inboxes, which are in here. Superpower interest, Frank Rex, and also Li Yang representative. Essentially, Li Yang Rui sent me a message saying we should be going over there and trying to colonize and bring our superpowers over there. I'm sure there's an effort in the Sirius group that is being coordinated by somebody in there. I'm not in there right now because apparently Sirius XFM thinks it's way too close to home for me to be joining a gaming group that has zero relation to their real-world existence. But because the name is similar, I personally have to deal with the ramifications of that. You're all irritating to me, and I don't like any of you. I would really appreciate it if you left all of your presences where you are as opposed to being where I am. The Professor Frank Radix text, which I don't remember the details of offhand, is here. I will pop that thing open now. Oh, it's just the fucking thing. Nothing particularly interesting. I'm doing the mining thing for the Brewer Corporation, which is what I'm doing in my T8 right now. It's another mining contest. So if you have a bunch of Type 11s, or any mining vessel, really. Again, I have a build for a Python. Python to do mining in the event that you happen to find yourself interested in that particular vehicle for mining. I don't know at this point why you would, but if you do, I can pull that up and pop the EDSI onto my page and do this, that, and the other. Drake is the vessel, for those of you who have been watching and paying attention since the incarnation of the Nain logs and the incarnation of Cadence and Coral Nain. They are requesting bromolite, and I forget the other one. Bromolite, which can be found both on surface and collected through laser mining and also deep core mining. This one? Yeah, this is the one. They are looking for bromylite as opposed to bromy heavy. Always makes me laugh. It's that dumb. And cobalt. Like the corporation from movie Inception. Which is an amazing Christopher Nolan film. If you have not seen it yet. So there is indeed a hotspot in here. This is Cole 285 Sector NV TAC I B24 TAC 13B. I mean, it's a fucking ring. go in there and then collect shit. I've never had any success in determining whether or not a ring that is claimed to be pristine will actually provide those resources, because they fucking don't, usually. It's just not an accurate measure of what it is that we need. But I have not had any failures in terms of being able to get it. If you were watching the stream yesterday, you will have seen that I picked up a significant amount in a very short amount of time. I think it was like 150 or something in an hour and a half, which is high. Now, I'm in the Type 8. I'm not in the Type 11. So I'm collecting it rather slowly. For those Type 11 heads out there now, I'm sure they're fucking raking it in, which is great for them, and I would like to get into the Type 11 relatively soon. And I hope that it is not going to be the case that as soon as I get into a Type 11, any and all possible means by which to exploit the mining and trade play sandbox is no longer valid. Economy sandbox, excuse me. So I've never mined in this particular system before, but this one happens to have a lot of bromelight on surface level, or what do they call them? Surface deposits. So if you were coming into this particular one, you wouldn't be doing yourself a disservice to come in with your full arsenal of mining tools. I don't have a mining lance. I don't have to do anything you tell me to do, and I don't like you for the most part as like a community and as viewers. Sorry, if you know anything about spectator studies, this is what you should be looking at. Is the spectatorship surrounding being told you are unworthy to be a person's audience, and to see how often that is capitalized upon by comedians, by musicians, by television stars and movie stars. The active fourth wall breaking of a non-existent fourth wall in the streaming community is the topic of contention. Where is my prospector? It is kind of funny. That's why I suggested you should do that. So as you can see, surface deposits and then laser mining. Core mining is still available. I gotta stop shooting these things when they're depleted. I have a tendency to just hang on to that and shoot for fucking days. You will find the core mining in this ring, for whatever reason, to be particularly lucrative. I don't know why, but it is particularly lucrative in this particular ring. Again, I got about 150 with this thing, which is the Type 8. Which is the Type 8 fitted for mining, which, I mean, based on the fact that they made the Type 11, isn't the ideal idealized use for the ship. But it is what it is, and it does the task pretty well, and I'm not at all unhappy with this as a mining vessel. I mean, I used to use the, what is that? I used to use the, oh, it needs oxygen. I used to use the Python, so they're all relatively solid in terms of their multi-role capabilities. Watched a video by what's-his-face, Yamix, the other day. Yamix is one of those streamers on YouTube and on Twitch who I've always found to be like particularly entertaining. He makes like very funny videos, does sound effects, just dumb stuff. It's just funny to me. He's also like particularly good at this game in terms of knowledge and know-how. And he discussed the possibility of rebalancing the ships in the game in light of the new ships coming out. He had a bunch of ideas about it. None of it is worth me going into. You can click over to Gamix and watch the video. But I mean, I don't know what Frontier Developments is going to think about a suggestion like that. I don't know if it's a matter of like attempting to stay within like a technical facilities reality or like diegetic reality to leave them as they are. I don't think that they're unuseful. I make use of the DBX as my hopper still, and I get about 50 to 60 light years per jump, without the setup that I had before on the on my pre-reset accounts, which means I don't have the FSD booster. At a risk of 500 million per gank, which is pretty significantly like inexpensive for a vehicle that I generally just take everywhere when I need to get from one place to the next. I've been having trouble with my displacement missiles as of late. I don't know. I'm on my OPC account, so I don't know if I just have my displacement missile in a different hardpoint, but the accuracy has been wildly off recently. Whether or not the rebalancing is something that's like a necessity or even something that is diegetically desirable is like, I don't know how FDev feels about that. My personal opinion is that they're going to be releasing new ships from these corporations. It stands to reason that because one ship is older than the previous than the previous generation of ships, there'd be no reason to update. In terms of like the what's the word? Out of the box. That's not the right word. The standard build. New modules, which they are now also experimenting with, I think would be a great thing. New customized modules per specific ship type and developer, or what's the word I'm looking for? Company would be great. I, as a great deal of you know, I'm working on Zero Core. I'm having a hard time getting over the vocal performances. I've talked about this before. AI vocals are perfectly fine for like what they need to be, but I'm creating particular dialogues, and that is the current aim. And there's just a certain degree of like dialogic tone consistency that is currently lacking, or that I've currently yet been able to grok. So it's moving pretty slowly. I'm also having I mean, I'm doing my thing here, so it's a little bit of a difficult situation to get any real work done at all. And then there's the difference between going into the Nain logs the way that I did, with sort of a pretty fully developed idea of what I was going to explore, like intellectually, and with the characters, and then a very, going into the Zero Core, where I'm trying to navigate with the characters being still who they are, as NPCs and sort of just off to the side folks, and the two mains who I'm going to be exploring. I'm doing the thing with Zero Core, and there's a part of me that would like to put a number of suggestions in. The main one, not the main one, just the one I'm willing to talk about right now, is a new prismatic shield module called Burst Shield, which would be exclusive to the Courier and the Imperial Eagle. Imperial Courier and the Imperial Eagle. So I think that'd be like a 2 and a 3. Which, one, completely useless, because the prismatic shield is completely useless for the smaller vehicles otherwise. But the prismatic burst shield, what I conceive in my head, is you get a one-off. You put it in the vehicle, and you're doing whatever you're doing, and your shield breaks, and it yeets everybody about 12 kilometers away from you. In the same way that the Titans used to yeet people. I feel like there's a very specific set of tactical operations that would be tied to things like community goals and mission running, in which I could envision a particular use for that particular shield with that particular function. In such a manner where the shield burst yeets everybody out, and you will no longer have access to that shield until you return to somewhere and have the thing repaired at an extraordinary cost. I would like to say like half the cost of the prismatic shield for the repair. That is the thing that I'm thinking about in terms of types of modules that might be released in order to make keep pace with like the technical advancements of, one, the time that's passing within the game, and also the new ships themselves. Specific modules, ship type specific modules, not necessarily power specific, but like company specific, super techs, new fucking suit. New Artemis suit has been talked about repeatedly on the forums. Things of that sort that could potentially be exploited for advanced specialization in gaming. The play groups are pretty big. Like I keep my play group non-existent for the time being, essentially. But there are some large play groups out there. I saw on Yamek's post he's got about 600 in his own. The Prismatic Imperium has thousands upon thousands. Maybe not thousands upon thousands. I've got a couple thousand. The Raxel guys at this point I think are up to like 300, 400. They were up at like 6 when they were on the PlayStation with me, or when I was on the PlayStation with them. The Minutemen have a lot. The Father, I forget what it's called. The Father, they're not called the Fathermen. That's a dumb name for a group. Whatever the fuck they're called. the Fathers, the large playing group by that name. Lavini's Legion has a bunch. Each and every one of those playgroups are tied to a very specific power, tied to a very specific in-game corporation. The degree of specialization which they generally make use of within their playgroups would seem to me be beneficial to a case to be made for particularly specific modules for particularly specific roles within game. So you've got the three. You've got the three main sandboxes: the exploration, the combat, and the economic. And it looks to me like they're currently looking to take care of the economic with the mining vessel of Type 11. I'm not talking about the Space Legs. I mean, Space Legs still has the mercenary and the exobiology, which is still part of the three main playgroups. There's no Space Legs economic playstyle yet. I assume that might be something they're going to be implementing in the end of the Territora, but I don't fucking know. I don't know what their plan is. I never know what FDev's plans are, because I don't work for them, unfortunately. Even though I could probably benefit from being in Cambridge as a political science student, and then working there on the side. That's none of my beeswax. We'll see. We'll see what they do. I think that's a good idea. I think my idea is superior to not an idea. Again, I recommend you watch the Yamix video. I will try to put a video on this, that, and the other, and you can check it out and opine, which is what you guys all do anyways. Tight. And then you can get into the ships. As you can see, when I go into my carrier, I am generally making use of just the new ships. I'm not gonna work as hard to get all the ships now after a reset. Fuck that. I had a bunch of ships. I had like 30 on Cadence's account, and I just don't feel the need to do that extra work for the time being, because that seems exceedingly unuseful of my time. As is everything else really right now. So I have been making use of a lot of the older builds that I've used. I don't have any couriers. I still use the Adder because that is hands down, one of the funnest ships to fly, like without a doubt in my mind at all. And also there's like a particular role that it has to do with in the diegetic embedded story that I've been working on since fucking the start of the Nain month, man. But yes, it's super fun to fly. You should fly the Adder like all the time without a shield. Because it's just fun to fly, dude. It's like slow, but it feels fast. But it's got like super good maneuverability. and its ability to very literally stop, rotate, and turn, and then boost out in the opposite direction is superior to anything, any of the other ships in FAO. It's just better at it. It's probably because it's super slow, so there's not a lot of inertial drag. I'm sure you can do it in all the other ships. I've done it in quite a few of the other ships at this point, but it just looks way cooler to do in the attic. It's super small. I haven't done a lot of PvP since getting back in. I've done a few, but not a ton. Not as much as I used to. Mostly because I don't have conditions amenable to me sitting and practicing PvP a lot. I don't know a lot of the PvPers on the PC side as well. So I haven't been doing a shit ton of that. But I can only assume that the Phantom still performs at the level that it was performing when I was using it. As one of my PvP vehicles and one of my all-arounders. I've seen the Courier perform similarly. Looking at it and playing through both, I have zero questions as to what. Zero questions in terms of I'm talking about Catalan in terms of the Phantom build. It's the one that's got the cannons and the PAs with a single reticule. Was it Nuclear Race? I played with a person by the name of Nuclear Race on PlayStation, and there's unfortunately, I think there might be a video, but I don't know. It was like the most. We had like an exchange that was fucking epic. But I've seen that plays particularly well and similar to how it stands. It would, if memory serves me correctly, that particular build would be able to go toe-to-toe with a Python Mark II specifically designed as a shield tank particularly easily. If I recall, Python's going to be faster by a significant amount. But in terms of the overall capabilities of both ships, that would indeed be a good matchup. Yeah, that's not how economic sandboxes work. The Courier. I mean, the Courier is the Courier. You can just do whatever you want, but there's no. There haven't been a small ships. I said that funny. There haven't been any small ships in this new round. They have done middle-sized landing pads for the entirety of the new wave of ships, with the exception of the Panther Clipper, which I have found to be interesting. The small ships are, I suppose, they're just generally relegated to like early game or exploration. But a particularly specific or specialized small ship might be a very interesting means by which to introduce a new gaming mechanic and new game feature, I do not know. If there is any reason for me to stop discussing anything, I will do so. When it comes to like the ships, in the event that something comes up that I find to be useful, I will discuss it. But as of right now, the ship capabilities on all sides are pretty manageable and showing signs of being increasingly particular to specific game loops that involve the future of the game. So I'm not sure if you guys have noticed this, but there's a particularly new feature in the game. Which would probably make it so that doing something like mining would be extremely beneficial to you. It's the colonization game loop, in which you can go further out into the bubble and create game loops and create stations. And then to do that, you need like a bunch of materials. And it's sometimes particularly difficult to travel back to the bubble if you're trying to get far out into the galaxy. And I can only assume that what the developers recognized is that rather than forcing people to stay close to the bubble while creating new colonies, it would probably be sufficient and better for you to be able to mine for those materials. I'm being a little bit condescending as to why I'm explaining, like as I'm explaining this, because it doesn't take a Cambridge doctorate in logic to see how this game is working itself towards its ultimate outcome, which is go do shit in the game. I mean, it just is what it is. Like, I'm in possession of a bachelor's degree, so I'm not a doctor of philosophy or any of that. But like, if you look at the game, it's right fucking there. So, meh. If there's a reason for them to create a ship, a small vessel, like a courier-sized or eagle-sized ship, for atmospheric landings, for piloting into stations to do sabotage runs, or what do they call them? Construction interference runs, or even blow up fucking stations. A smaller ship seems like it'd be far, 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 far superior for that particular task. There is not another one. Be an awesome thing to see. I like the small ships. They're fun to fly because I get to go faster. And as everyone knows, I like to go fast. I may take a quick break to smoke a cigarette, if you catch my drift. Um, Prospector. Um, and then I will be back shortly. But for the time being, I'm going to finish off with this mine. What am I at? That is 44 tons of bromelite in 46 minutes. That's actually not bad for a Type 8. And I haven't found a deep core mine or deep core asteroid just yet. So, with the current state of the game, until the prismatic burst shield, or until I get my fucking proposal over to Frontier Developments for the prismatic burst shield, and my overall plan, which I've sent out like a rough draft. I'm sure they read it and they were like, "Why is Half-Lock bothering us? Everybody hates him for no reason," which they don't realize is a fallacious conclusion. Um, because I'm a negligent father, clearly. Until I send them the like what I think they should do, or at least how I would like to approach what's going on. Like I don't have any expectations of how they would do that, or any of these things from this point forward. Even if I did send it over and I was like, "Hey, I'd like to do this," I don't expect them to have any need to respond to that kind of thing. I'm sort of watching them do their thing and enjoying it. I will have to pick up the Type 11 at some point because I do indeed find mining now to be like a enjoyable play grind because it combines just the overall flying that I used to do when I was learning the FAO with like something relatively useful. Um, the grind is not like as lucrative as it used to be, so I do it offhand. Now that I've got the carrier, it's going to be like incredibly more useful to me as like a chill between mission running, between combat session, um, gaming loop, play loop. Um, that's sort of where that is on my end. Let's see. I'm gonna give a quick recap. What's the new stuff? So nothing new currently. Everyone wants to fight for the precious Territora. Again, Andrew Bird song. Incredible album. Makes me laugh because it's dumb wordplay on my end. In terms of the overall pecking order of the powers, it looks to be the case that let's see. Ashling's probably at the top again, of course. Fucking Ashling, still at the top. Well, she's like significantly up topper than she used to be. They used to bounce back and forth between Edmund Mahan and the Emperor, and then I believe it was Hudson. Those three used to like bounce back and forth, and Ashling generally used to be second, third, fourth. But she has a bunch of fucking systems now. They have a gigantic play group, and they're like way the fuck out in the middle of nowhere. So that makes a lot of sense because they are. You have to get through every other Imperial power for the most part from anywhere to get to Ashling space. So that stands to reason that they would have picked up a lot of territory pretty quick. Denton's really low, which is surprising. A little bit surprising. Sabina Torball is super low, which is not so surprising. Huh. What's your fucking shit? I don't know the order of Ashling's power play. Loyalty weaponry thing. I'm still currently here at 60. I think I'm at like 35 on the former Cadence account. But I get the prismatic shields next, which is nice. At 63. What I don't have are shields or ships that are worth putting prismatic shield on. And that one is not as useful to me anymore. Yeah, that one should change. Now that we have all that other shit. Mining Land seems okay. That one I want. I'm waiting for that. I already have a build in mind. Alright, so where are we at? I'm at 51 tons of bromellite, 2 tons of tritium. I've got plenty of limpets to go. And I am just short of an hour into the stream. That sounds fine. I'm going to take a quick smoke break. And I will be back in 15 minutes. And I am back. I was debating whether or not to come back and start talking on the stream again. I was thinking about the Futurama sketch where Bender made a deal with the devil to go to war against meatbags. It made me laugh, but I feel like I should probably try to be a better father for however long it takes to get to where I get to. I have my eye on this particular asteroid, comet, fire. There we go. Had a good smoke break. Hope your day's going fine. Hope your day's going fine. Mine is going reasonably well as far as days go. I do still. What's going on over here? It's not. I may take you up on that. My day's going fine as far as days go. I still have hella swords. I woke up this morning with still hella swords. Again, if you understand the reference, you know what the reference is about. It's a tarot card reference. I drank last night, and I've been drinking significantly for the past 2-3 weeks. I'm not going hard like I was when I was in fucking Virginia Beach. So, yeah. But enough. Like, enough that I'm noticing I'm fucking dumber, which is unfortunate. I suppose I should be on my toes. But why? Why? This is like a solid in-game activity that doesn't require too much mental focus, and doesn't require any like real and significant expenditures for hand-eye coordination. So it works out to a certain extent. Dude, with that, a little bit of hand-eye coordination. Mother. Oh, that was already explained. I think I mentioned in a previous stream I went and saw techno music. I did that again. I mean, you don't really see techno music, you just go to a place to listen to it and possibly dance or move my body like I do. I also saw a DJ that was doing a bunch of Omar Soliman type stuff, which was a good time. I fucking love that stuff, man. It has been a long time since I have seen a DJ perform that stuff or put that stuff on my own radio. And that shit is inevitably enjoyable to me. Maybe they'll send me like to fucking Turkey or something, and then I can listen to that stuff all the time. The drinking's been a particularly helpful solution for the banality of Italian life. I made a joke about this recently. I'm trying to figure out what Italy is as like a nation. For those of you who are familiar with me and what I do, there's a book by a guy named Benedict Anderson called Imagined Communities, which I've read multiple occasions. It's just a really like solid read from a cultural studies analysis of like what constitutes not only a country but like a nation. Great Britain, America, China, Russia, all those things. What turns a territorial, like a enclosed territorial region into an idea? Just an interesting thing. It was one of the concepts that I was exploring with the latter years of the Nain logs and trying to figure out like what this organization is. You guys all know about this. I've talked to you guys all about this. Again, like not hardcore fucking political research and analysis. I'm just, as I've explained multiple times, by the way, essentially just looking at the things that I'm looking at, satirizing one of the ideas I'm reading in relation to what I'm looking at today, and doing so in a way that sort of prepares me to do any real thinking, which unfortunately I cannot currently do because I'm dumb as fuck right now because I've been drinking. And being here in the banal reality of Italian life, I'm trying to figure out like what this thing is. I mean, it's like Rome, and then it's the church, and then it's the Renaissance. Everyone like super emphasizes fascism in America right now, so like they're fascist as well. Even though fascism is like super small, and it's only like being made super salient in terms of like what Italy is or has been, because particularly recent because it's America and I'm American. Like I still don't know what Italy is. It's just like this weird thing. I made a joke about it, how like I've been here for a year and the only thing people do is work and yell at each other. That's just like fucking what I'm looking at, man. Also, they're like super obnoxious to me in particular, and condescending, which is to be, you know, that's I've got salt mines full of that stuff. I don't have to worry about that. but it's like an interesting place to be in terms of it being a thing. Cities are cities, rural areas are rural areas, people are people. They speak a dying language, and they currently have a very small economic footprint, but a very large cultural one. Currently under control of. I'm doing politics. I'm discussing politics right now on my stream, so you can tune out if you're one of them. There's a reason I'm discussing this. There's a what is it? There's a center-right coalition that's currently in power. With a conservative ideology in terms of classical conservatism, is what they call it. But they're like a socialist country in terms of their labor rights and worker rights policies and the way they do business. But they're also like a corporatist country in terms of their social structures and the general social hierarchies and business hierarchies and political hierarchies that exist. So it's fucking whatever it is. I haven't done any research on like the community itself, the gaming community, like our gaming community, in terms of like how all of these other communities structure themselves. The Prismatic Imperium has a very interesting I'm currently thinking through how much I can discuss about Prismatic Imperium without revealing some of the things that they've told me that are like particular to their gaming community and the information that they hold. They have a triune leadership or triune like social organization. I forget what the things are called. You can go to their website and look that stuff up. But they have like a strong roleplay contingent who are irritating as fucking shit. God, I fucking hate you all. And then there's like the combat guys, although they don't do combat technically. And then there is like the science wing, which reminds me of like the kind of stuff that Commander Blue Crash, and his fringe science group do, which is like diegetically exclusive pseudoscience, to differentiate it from like canon, which is doing diegetically exclusive diegetic science. I don't know how their gaming community organizes themselves other than annoying, whatever, weird. Those aren't like political categories or political organization types. I'm sure it'd be like a really interesting field of political study for anyone who actually does that. I mean, you have to take into account the realities of like the realities of these gaming communities being generally speaking online communities. So you've got to fucking watch the entirety of like what online communities are like, and then what fucking video gaming communities are like in the real world, and then within the online gaming community in particular. And then you've got to go into the fucking video game itself, overall look at this really dangerous community, and then you can get into like the nitty gritty of like what are these weirdos? Like, how do these weirdos structure themselves? How much of the way that they play within the game orients itself around the actual game, whatever philosophies that particular gaming group happens to have, whatever role play they happen to make use of in their gaming. Are these people just carrying around their like overall meatheadedness, overall nerdness, overall weirdness into the game, and that creates like a particular community within the game itself, within that particular gaming community? That's a shit ton of work, and I don't care about any enough to do that. Nothing personal, but it's a little personal. But for all of you guys over at Cambridge, all you young, I don't even know. I don't know if there's a word for Cambridge people. Um, I'm sure there's like a word for that. They have like WOG or something for Americans or something. Is it WOG? POGs. POGs? Pokes. Whatever the fuck it is. There's some derogatory phrase that you can use for people at Cambridge, I'm sure, without a doubt at all. But that seems like an interesting field to look into. This particular game here, it would probably be in your best interest to speak to Frontier Development about it and be like, "Hey, I want to study these fucking weirdos." I highly encourage you to look into that kind of thing. I'm always like all for people doing academic research and advancing the cause of knowledge all over the world. Because I don't like you, and I would really prefer to be able to have that knowledge available to everyone else, so they can be like, "Oh, that's understandable why he doesn't like it anymore." Rather than having to sit and explain it all the time, every single human being that walks within 15 feet of me. That's sort of what I'm doing now to a certain extent, but not really. If you guys remember the Nain logs, or rather what I talked about while I was in Nain logs, a lot of it had to do with like those two girls, Coral and Cadence Nain and Carl, who was their trainer and handler, like operational handler, and their sort of place within within their organization and their place within the Empire, and the Empire's relationship with that organization, and in particular through them. That again is like sort of the. I had an idea of what I was looking at, which is again, the Nain logs was pretty smooth running to a certain extent. Aside of all the fucked up shit that was going on in the non-gaming universe, I generally had an idea of what I was going for. I made that clear like right out of the gate, and because of that, it was particularly easy for me to just get the work in. Now I'm working in like a particularly different situation, so it's a little less easy, a little less slow going. I don't have any voice actors, and some people have yet to put a team together, as I have specifically requested they put their effort into doing instead of being irritating to me. So until that should occur, I expect it will go a little slower, because I have to get over AI delivery. I have to get over weird conversational tics that are particular to the AI process, and trying to tag together a conversation, or rather trying to edit a conversation together between what would otherwise be voice actors who are providing delivery independent of one another's performances, which is essentially what every sound editor does for voice acting. unfortunately, I don't have, you know, the means to do multiple takes, and they're not real people. I'm doing that now to a certain extent, is what I'm trying to say, in the sense that Sirius is currently the centerpiece of my thinking about how this game works. And this is all like diegetic again. Like I have, like I'm not gonna sit there and talk to people serious about their real world views about how the world works, and then be like, "Hey, that's what Sirius is," because there isn't a lot of fucking story about Sirius, man. I don't want to be the guy that harps on the writers because they happen not having to do a particularly good job at stringing these massive fucking narratives together. But there just isn't a lot about Sirius to distinguish them from any of the other groups. And that's not to say like they're that they aren't as fully developed as they need to be for whatever role they're currently playing within the grand narrative. But there's just not a lot in there. There's the biography of Liang Rui, and then there's like the history of Sirius, and then there are various what do they call them? Not data dumps. Points of interest. There are various points of interest in which you can check out like small tidbits of stories. But beyond that, they're like a they've been existence they've been in existence for the entirety of interstellar travel, and they have been the leading corporate entity in terms of interstellar travel. But other than that, they are to a very real extent shrouded in a significant degree of mystery. If you all remember correctly, what I was doing with the Nain logs was sort of taking all the narrative strands that were going on with the Imperials, within Galnet. Again, there's certain aspects of the Prismatic Imperium's story that I made use of, which I've made clear to a lot of people after speaking to them about it that I was going to be doing so, and that I essentially just took what they were doing and like tried to turn it on its head, make use of myself without trying to tread too deeply on what they're doing. And I think they've done a pretty good job at distinguishing my my particular understanding of how life on in Cubeo in particular would be, and how a woman who grew up on Cubeo would be, and her take, because as a member of the organization, she's not going to be standard Imperial, while at the same time making it clear that there are very specific aspects of her being who she is because of who she is, which is a person from Cubeo. When it comes to Sirius, there's just not a lot in there. Like, you don't get a lot of the you don't get a lot of information about what the society that they currently exist in is like. It's a corporate governance structure, which is, I mean, right there. And then they have, I think their actual governmental style, for one of them at least, is like corporation. And then it's just a corporate hierarchy. And that doesn't tell you a lot about it, a lot of things. And for me to do it in the way that I'm doing it, which is, again, these are This is a free association. It's a freely formed and freely joined and freely maintained association of pilots, scholars, and private interests who are all joined together to do whatever the fuck they're doing. How their particular understanding of who they are and what their community is, and what distinguishes it from the main line of serious corporate governance and population, and their own particular take. It's just one of those difficult treks to have to make without treading on anybody else's toes. It's easy enough. I can do it without thinking about it. But the point is, I'm doing it in a very particular way, so I can just be some asshole, like fucking this guy over here, who just decides that this is what it's going to be, and then demands everybody else have to abide by it by being irritating as all hell until the moment they finally concede, because that's equally political, but also it's what it means to govern in some cultures and countries. Or I can do it in the way that I do it, which is that art does not belong in the realm of politics. In a free and fair society, free and fair democratic society, it may be like that. It may not be like that in other countries. But as an American, that is the case. Those of you who get that reference, I think I made that reference a bunch of times when I was writing the Nain logs. Still makes me laugh. The reference, by the way, is a John F. Kennedy speech. John F. Kennedy was president of the United States at one point. He was assassinated in 1963. And he made a speech at the dedication of a library to an American poet laureate by the name of Robert Frost. You can look it up. It's on YouTube. It's just like a solid, hilarious reference to pull up. And I've pulled it up a couple different times when referring to what I've been doing in the Nain logs, to modest chuckles. Artists are not engineers of the soul. That's one of the phrases from that speech. It's a really good fucking speech, by the way. Like, if you're into meaningless ceremony within the political specter, like that's a well-written speech, one for the ages. That looks like a penguin, I guess. Looks a little bit like a penguin with a Christmas hat on. Christmas stocking on its head. Or one of them Christmas Santa Claus hats. A duck. It looks like a baby duck. Look. Look at it. With a Christmas hat on its head. Two. That's actually not a bad rate. I think I'm at like a ton a minute. It usually takes me about 3 to 4 hours to fill up this particular build. This one's slightly different than the one on the Jora account, on the C2P account. And I've got a little more tonnage in terms of cargo that I can put into this thing. But usually about 3 to 4 hours to fill up 320 tons of mined cargo. Motherfucker. I think I'm going to get to 100 and then I'm going to end the stream. Because I'm hungry. Want some food. This community goal will continue, I think, until next Wednesday. I'll check the date in just a second. This will indeed last until next Wednesday. The Wednesday after. Could just get a date. So the 30th. That's not right. Till the 29th. That's not right either. Until the 28th. 29th. At some point at the end of October, this community goal will end. So for those of you who are interested in mining, you can do that. If you're not interested in mining, you can also do not that. But for those of you who are interested in mining, The payouts are relatively generous. Not that generous at all, as a matter of fact. But generous enough to warrant the actual labor of mining. I am not interested providing any expertises on mining that are not already available, because there isn't a lot that I haven't just showed you how to do, by the way. Beyond that, I'm going to finish this stream once I get to 800, and then I'm going to put food into my belly. Because I don't like you. I never wanted you. And in all probability, I hate you. Again, really interesting, like spectatorship study to look into the fourth wall breaking of a non-existent wall in the streaming community, in which the object of the streamer's efforts is to make it clear that you are a child, and you be spoken to as such till the moment you behave like an adult and speak like a normal human being in polite conversation in order to convey your thoughts and ideas and to exchange pleasantries and possibly come to a greater understanding of any various matter, as opposed to engaging in continuous debate, intellectually belligerent combat. I feel like that's an interesting field to study, man. Like, what does that do to spectatorship on the whole? And what kind of forms of communities are built upon such a reality? I'm not a spectatorship scholar. It's not that interesting to me. But there are those who believe that is a very interesting topic, and I believe they should be free to follow those thoughts and then listen to my stream and watch my stream and then analyze their feelings about it intellectually, as cultural studies does, I suppose. Although I think it's like media studies, I'm not sure which one that technically fall under. I suppose it depends on what you're writing in. Yes, so, 3. We got 3 fucking tons. More importantly, in terms of spectator studies, like how I'm watching the Niners interviews a lot. because I'm a 49ers fan. San Francisco 49ers are a gridiron football team that are based technically in Santa Clara, but at one point were based in San Francisco. And recently, and this is not actually exclusive to the 49ers, the big one, like one of the big ones right now is the brother of Taylor Swift's boyfriend and fiance um, is in a little bit of hot water because of comments he had been alleged to have made about the Bad Bunny Super Bowl thing. And he was like, I didn't say that ever. Those are not words that I've ever expressed. As a fan of the game of football, I like watching football, and sometimes I'll even watch the interviews and the press passes and all that stuff. There isn't really like a fourth wall there as well, in terms of, when you're speaking to them, when they're actually speaking to you as like a viewer. But there is one when you're watching interviews, apparently. When they're doing the pressers, there's a very real fourth wall that exists behind the camera, or like at the camera screen. But to what extent does like the viewer and the spectator form who that person is? Because it's a very professional organization with a lot of fucking money and a lot of fucking business pumping through there. Advertising dollars, medical dollars, health and fitness dollars, fashion. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that surrounds a group of guys who train themselves to be at peak physical form, and then get out onto a grassy field and then fight over a single piece of leather for 60 minutes game. And they're just guys that are getting into shape and then doing what they do. And then we have to speak, or they have to speak to the press every once in a while. And they have to behave in a very particular way. The 49ers themselves, if you have any knowledge of the matter, got into some hot water at one point when we had a quarterback by the name of Colin Kaepernick, who made a very political statement, apparently. And because the league was not ready for that, it was not amenable to what occurred on that field, cost him his job. Well, it didn't really cost him his job, but it made it quite difficult for him to work. And if we're perfectly honest with ourselves, it cost him his job. The scandal is based on the controversy surrounding the way the spectator feels about how football players should behave and how they should talk. To a certain extent, the realities of being a corporate entity, which is the NFL, and the subsequent teams, position the spectator in such a way that they can indeed craft who the person is. I mean, I guess the entertainment business is like designed for that. They're trying to make money flow in a particular direction in society, so they do it in the way that they do it. Matter for the experts and people who care enough about the spectator. Again, I don't like most of you. And all probability, um, hate a lot of you. And to the spectator scholar, or the scholar on spectatorship, uh, it's got to be like a very strange reality to see developing. Not me specifically. I mean, like, again, I'm living the banal life of like American in Italy right now. So, fucking, but everybody else, hate streams, man. They used to do this thing. They probably still do. They used to do this thing on Twitch called hate raiding. They would raid people into people's Twitch channels just to fucking talk mad shit about them while they were on the stream. I think they banned it or something. I don't know. I don't care. But yeah, something against you for you fucking nerds out there, and future people that irritate the shit out of me. That's what it is. Is what it is. Isn't what it isn't. That phrase "irritate the shit out of me," I feel like doesn't work. It's not like when I get super irritated, I just take a shit. It's a autonomic response to being irritated. Some animals do that. Monkeys throw shit at people. Little known fact. Monkeys in zoos have been known to shit into their own hands and throw them at zoogoers, who themselves are also spectators of the natural life of these beautiful creatures and what they're like in nature. Interesting facts. I think I'm going to get, this is going to get me to 100, which means that I can now end my stream. Sorry, I'm still thinking about this irritating group of fucking gamers called the Smiling Dog Crew from all over the world, who are widely known to be a group of computer hackers who I keep hearing about in my daily life and in my video game. I'm sorry, not all pricks. Pricks. Also Australians. Like, why do you guys exist? I blame England for the existence of Australians, by the way. So there's my spectator prompt for you to analyze and take into like your being from like a messenger of public disseminations of thoughts. Is England sucks for creating Australia, and monkeys throw shit at people when they're in their natural environment.